going to be muted. I stayed in my garage smoking my cigar, but I decided to come in. I thought I didn't want to be smoking on the podcast, but
well, I'm out here in my garage. I got my jacket on, and it's probably a good 45 out here. So
on our podcast, you can smoke, you can drink, you can do whatever you want to
do. So Sean, I wouldn't bought me a heater for the garage. Yeah, I got to set up just kind of like, I'm in the garage a lot. The girls, they taking over my house, so I just go there and they know when I'm in the garage, that's my time break. Don't come in. And I got a big old cloud of smoke out there right now. Look at my little TV and I got a heater, and man, I just get after it a little bit and come on in, get ready for bed.
Do you go electric or do you have gas?
I went electric on this one because I just plug it in. It kind of heats my little area,
Okay.
Right now,
little space heater, right?
A little space heater. I'll go big time on my next house I'm trying to get right now. But right now, we're in the garage.
Yeah, I know what you mean, man. I got my wood shop out here in the garage. So, I mean, I've been thinking about doing a heater, but with wood dust and everything in the air, there's a couple other considerations. Yeah. Don't want to burn the house down. That's not what
exactly.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, guys, we're recording. So if you're ready, I'll go ahead and get it started, and then we'll just jump right in it. Sound good?
Take it.
All right. Perfect. Welcome to Killer Frogs, the podcast all about TCU athletics from the fans' point of view. My name is Sean Fouché, and this is Season 4, Episode 23 for February 6, 2018. Joining me on tonight's panel, as always, Killer Frog Emeritus Wes Phelan. Hey, Wes.
Hey, Sean. How are you doing tonight?
Man, I'm doing great. It is a beautiful night. I wish the heat would come back. It was beautiful yesterday, and it got down to like 30 today.
Yeah, it was pretty chilly this morning, but I think down here in sunny Georgetown, it ended up about 52 or 53, so not bad.
So there are perks living closer to Waco. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, not many, but that's one of them, I guess.
I guess that's the only one.
I have a Buc-ee's close by. That's pretty good. So.
Man, you and Buc-ee's, I tell you what, the stories you could tell.
They ought to hire me as a spokesman.
Maybe we'll ask Ryan. Maybe they'll sponsor our next podcast.
There you go.
Also joining us tonight, Shannon Brazil. Hey, Shannon.
Hey guys, how's it going, man? Glad to be.
Oh, just then, Shannon. Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Hey, no, I'm just saying, glad to be on. I'm excited, man. I look forward to these now stuff.
Well, as we said, the unofficial name of this podcast is Technical Difficulties. So. Sorry, Shannon. No, you're good. You're good. I can hear you now. You're good.
All right.
Maybe you're blowing cigar smoke in the microphone. Maybe that's
it. I think that's the problem.
There you go.
Well, I get Shannon a new mic.
There you go.
Also joining us tonight, we have a special guest. He played for the TCU Horned Frogs 2009, 2012 as a right offensive guard. You'll remember he was the first team All Mountain West, and when we joined the Big 12, we made the second team Big All 12 team. You know him as Blaze Foltz. Blaze, how you doing tonight?
Doing good, y'all. What's going on? Yeah, it's a cool 23 degrees up here in Wichita, Kansas. So hope you guys are enjoying that weather down there.
Yeah, we're loving it.
Yeah, I'm sure hearing us complain about 40-degree weather is just like, shut up.
Yeah.
Sounds nice. Thank God I'm a polar bear.
There you go.
Telling me you missed the sunny state of Texas?
So I was down there this weekend. It was for a fortunate event. But, I was down there, and it was really nice to see everybody and see some old frogs, and had a good time.
Good deal. Did you go by and see Coach P?
Oh, no, I don't want to bother him while he's working. Yeah, I know better than that.
Yeah, I guess you probably do.
Well, tonight we're going to have somewhat of a truncated podcast. Ryan's traveling tonight, and unfortunately her plane had to be de-iced tonight. So either she's still in the air or she hasn't even made it into to her destination. So we hope she is well traveling tonight, but if she jumps on later, that'll be great. But we wanted to have Blaze on because we had a little bit of news this week. And Wes, why don't you fill in the podcast listeners exactly what we're talking about?
Well, it's probably not news to anybody by now, but former TCU wide receiver Colby Litzenby filed suit against TCU, Gary Patterson, Chris Del Conte, the TCU training staff, the Big 12, and I think anybody else he could throw a dart at and hit. It was a little bit of a shock. It apparently went back to a game back in 2012. I'm not mistaken here, that against SMU. He caught a pass, came down pretty hard, and I think tore a cartilage or a ligament perhaps that kind of binds the pelvic bone together. It's a little bit of an odd injury as far as what I remember. We all hear about knees and elbows and other parts of the body, but that pelvic injury is kind of unique. And long story short, I guess it hampered his senior year or that year at TCU a bit. And then he, of course, was drafted in the 6th round, I believe, by Buffalo. I'm not sure he ever saw the field there. Then he went down to Miami and played a bit, and in Indianapolis. And I think he's on the practice squad or one of the reserve squads in Indianapolis now. There's no guarantee whatsoever beyond that. But, yeah, he apparently, said, okay, I'm going to get some kind of remuneration for this injury because it held back my career, and filed suit. And, and I guess TCU countersued. So that's all I know. Am I right on that so far, guys?
As far as I know.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a good recap. Good. Yeah. So this was an interesting storyline that kind of hit everybody between the eyes earlier in the week. And it was something that I think just came out of left field. I think a lot of fans didn't quite understand what was going on. I think everybody felt that Liston B and TCU parted ways on good terms, and that everything was fine there. So this was a lawsuit that was a bit surprising. But we enter into this particular story. We're not going to necessarily talk about Liston B personally here, but we have both Shannon and Blaze on tonight because these two guys cover a wide range of sorry, Shannon, are you still on with us?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Sorry, you're in two different places.
Sorry, let me X out.
Take me to your leader.
Oh, there we go. All right. Hey, Shannon, how you doing?
Sorry, buddy.
No, you're good, man. But we had Shannon. Shannon, of course, is with us, but we had Blaze on as well for a couple of reasons. But because these two guys pretty much span two major areas of TCU football under Coach Patterson, going into Coach Patterson's reign, and then, of course, moving from the Mountain West into the Big 12. So these guys are specifically suited to talk about the training staff and the conditions and the coaching staff of TCU in those particular eras. Considering the fact that, Blaze, correct me if I'm wrong, Colby started your senior year at TCU. Is that correct?
That's right. Yep, that's correct.
Yeah, so there was a little bit of overlap between the two players here. But Blaze, fill us in a little bit, because you made a tweet that had a little bit of I don't know, made some waves, I guess is the best way of saying it, earlier in the week, after Colby came out with his lawsuit. But explain to us a little bit, as a player during this era, 2009, 2012, what was the coaching staff like? What was the training staff like?
For me, I to be honest with you, I just kind of got like the gist of everything from the article. I read into, the case file and all that stuff. I just kind of, I was putting my 2 cents in there when I sent the tweet. I'm just a lineman. I didn't expect anybody to pay attention to what I had to say.
Hey, well, Scott used to tell us the linemen are the smartest guys in the field, so we just Shannon's laughing. No, go ahead, Blaze. I'm sorry.
Well, Blaze, why don't you paraphrase your tweet for us, for those who didn't get a chance to see it earlier?
Yeah, so I broke it down. My first one is, I was like, I've got my opinions. I just kind of want to hear what's going on. I would love to kind of see what the situation is. I know for me and a lot of my teammates I spoke with a lot of them this past week about the situation. And, it was pretty much a consensus that we all loved our experience, and we had the best care at our training staff, and we had some of the best. I mean, we literally have, like, it's in the rankings. We had some of the best assistant coaches, and we had the best head coach in the nation in our tenure there. And we got top notch care no matter what we did. Our surgeons were amazing. I mean, I never had any problems with my knee and everything after I was done, and I just wanted to express myself on that whole part.
Well, and you got injured correct me if I'm wrong, 2010, right? Redshirt sophomore year. Is that correct?
That's correct. The Rose Bowl year. Yep.
Yeah. So like after what, the 5th or 6th game of that season, I think you went down with a knee injury.
Yes,
and I remember on the board, man, everybody was like, "Oh, that's it, season's over,
right.
we're done." And somehow your teammates pulled it together and had everyone knows what how the end of that year happened. But you were obviously injured in 2010. So what was your reaction like with the training staff?
It was amazing. I mean, so I had experience with Kyle Kuykendall and Max Ozer, and obviously I had
David Gable.
David Gable, thank you.
Yeah.
I honestly, like, Max and Kyle were there every morning with me for my first one at 5 a.m. every day. They're waiting for me every day. They did my rehab with me, and then they were there in the middle of the day for my second one, and then they were there for my third one after practice, after everybody else was gone. It was just us three, and they were there, and you talked to them about it. It was an emotional time because, like, my knee healed in a weird way. It kind of healed like that, and for 2 weeks straight, like, literally it was Kyle pushing down on my knee while Max held my hand, and I was just, it was the most painful thing I've ever been a part of my life, just to get my knee to be straight. And they were there for me every step of the way for 4 months. Just insane. The amount of commitment I got to see from them, and it was like that for everybody. But from my eyes and from my opinion, it was like that in the past, and it was like that in the future with my little brother as well. I got to see it from all sides, and I got to see the love and the care that they had for their players, and it wasn't about they definitely weren't going to try and push you out there if you weren't ready. They were helping me. They had to keep the helmet away from me before I go back out there. That's for sure.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, Shannon, we were talking about this before the podcast started. You had made a mention. It was like, look, what they consider to be concussions today, it was like that was a regular occurrence back then, which is a podcast topic in and of itself. But
right,
you said something that is echoed in every single player that I've ever talked to and I've ever been around, and that is, as a competitor, you always want to be on the field. And Blaze just said it. They had to keep the helmet away from you guys to get onto the field. Can you talk a little bit about your time at TCU when it came to injury and trainers?
Well, I'll tell you what, this whole taking the helmet thing, that wouldn't have happened back then because the guy would have got clocked. Because usually, if you guys look on TV on Saturdays and Sundays, it's usually some scrawny guy taking your helmet. That wouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? You're going to give me my helmet. I'm trying to go back and play. But the bottom line is, and I echo a lot of what he's talking about. I had Ross Bailey back in the day. He's kind of moved up in rankings there at TCU, but they took great care of us. Listen, you wanted to play, even when you're, again, I said we would have to lie sometimes, be like, hey, I'm good. I'm fine. It don't hurt anymore kind of thing. Right. And so, and I made a little tweet. Again, I don't know the situation in its entirety. I'll let those guys handle that. That's why they have lawyers and all that. But I will say that the only person would have kept me out the field and the people that was around me out the field were the coaches. Meaning, if something was wrong with us, they would tell us we couldn't play. But for the most part, we were there. We're on a mission. We were playing. We were going to get our treatment. They were going to take great care of us, which they did. And we didn't have all the fancy equipment they have nowadays make you come back in 2 days. We had the old school wait it out, and just kind of get your ice and stem. We have a lot of ice and stem jokes, right? Because everything was ice and stem, and so that's all we really had. And but the bottom line is, you play. If you were ready, you played. It's the bottom line. And then, if you was adamant about playing and getting on the field, you got on the field. They did their test. You're good to go. So, I echo the same words my fellow Frog just said and spoke on. It's just we had the best of the best at that time, and they took good care of us. It is what it is.
But there was never pressure to get back on the field.
Never
ready.
I played for Coach. He was my DC at the time. So, listen, I will say those words that I heard, being rushed back, sissy, or whatever those words were, whatever, never came out of his mouth to any player. The bottom line is, if you could play, you were playing. If you were hurt, but yet you were trying to keep yourself out of the game or some type of situation like that, now that was different. It's like, hold on, man, listen. But the coaches would see that last. We would see it first. Like, hold on, you claiming to be hurt, but yet you're fooling around. You're doing this. We see you on the campus. You ain't limping now, but as soon as you get down here, you're limping. Well, we didn't want to go to war with that guy anyway. And trust you me, I was on leadership council and I was a captain. We would address that right now. We're going to address this as soon as we get down to the locker room. So but we didn't have to do that much, and we never this topic never really came up back then because we wanted to play. It was about being warriors and getting on that field, going to war on Saturday. Bottom line.
That's
Blaze, how about you? Was there? I know that 2010 team. There's been a lot of things written about that team, especially leadership. That particular team. I mean, you guys stayed through what was a Christmas break to actually work as a team, and there's a lot that's been said. But how was that experience that you had at TCU? Did you guys have that same kind of policing in the locker room before it got to the level of the coaches?
Absolutely, and it was I was leadership council and captain as well, and it started with us, and it never got to the coaches. If there was a problem, we hit it, and that's how it was supposed to be, because we're out there trying to go to war, and we don't want somebody out there that's going to get us hurt or going to ruin the game for us. My biggest thing is like if something happened and the coaches would literally be like, you need to take care of that. We would. I mean, that's just how it was. We talked to them. I mean, there's things these things that are said player to player, and the problems get fixed. I had the pleasure to like play under guys like Jason Phillips and Blake Schluter and Jake Kirkpatrick, Marcus Cannon, and Andy Dalton. I mean, I got to see the best leadership, and that set the tone for the way I wanted to do it. And I mean, and proofs in the pudding. We won games because of that kind of thing. And
yes, sir.
Same with that day.
I don't want to draw any comparisons with this question, but specifically talking about your injury that you had back in 2010, Blaze, was there any pressure from the training staff or the coaching staff that you recall that was given to you as far as getting back on the field before you felt that knee was ready to go?
Absolutely not. Never any pressure for me to get back on the field. And even if it wasn't my knee or like I messed up the finger or something went bad or a concussion or it was me that was trying to get back on the field. It was never the other guys. Coach was like, no, Blaze, you need to chill. You need to take a seat. You need going back out there. And it was a long process to get cleared from my knee too. And I mean, I had to show myself in the weight room as well with Coach Summer. Like I had to show that I could handle the pressure of big weight and big explosions to even get a chance to go out there for spring ball that next year. So, I mean, yeah, it was never an issue. The trainers actually did not want me to do everything that I did, and I pushed them to let me do what I did.
Well, you bring up an interesting point, both of you did, because you're on the leadership council, and you're talking about wanting to go to war with guys who don't want to be out there, and you sound like you apply the peer pressure to them to either get in or get out all the way, and that's peer pressure is the strongest pressure of them all. And that's why, when I read this about Patterson, I thought, man, I don't know Patterson because I never played under him. That's not smart. I can't imagine. And Gary's a very intelligent guy. I don't see him, berating a guy because he can't play or says he can't play. I mean, but I could see your teammates saying, man, if you can strap it on and get out there, then do so. If not, get your butt away and let somebody else have a chance. But I don't know. This whole thing just doesn't sound right to me.
Well, think about it like this. We've been playing high-level football for a while. Think about it just from Gary's standpoint. Why would he rush when we have all the recruits and weapons that we have now, all the bullets to go to war with? Why would he rush one guy who could potentially not only hurt himself but damage the team in the process on a Saturday in a very important game?
Exactly.
Why would he put that product on the field? That part alone don't make sense to me. Right. Rushing a guy who's not 100%, that's a speedster at that, and you can't get down the field and burn past people like you were doing anyway. That's what, if I recall, that was his MO. Hey, go. Yeah. And if he couldn't go and burn people and get the deep ball, he was doing us no good anyway. So from that standpoint alone, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. So again, I mentioned some guys can play 80% and still be effective, but I don't think that was the case.
Yeah, the one guy we did not mention was former offensive coordinator Doug Meacham, and he was named in that lawsuit as well. But again, I think the same rule applies to him that does Patterson. I can't imagine him putting that kind of pressure to get a guy on the field. But again, I don't know. I don't think about Meacham other than, his record that first couple of years he was there. Blaze, you played for him. Do you see him as that kind of?
Yeah, I didn't get to play for him. I played for Fuente Anderson.
Oh, okay, that's right.
My brother played for Meacham, and I got to meet Meacham through those years to watch my brother play for him. And Brady loved him. Him and Cumbie, I mean,
Yeah.
Most respect for him, and I mean, Brady never had any problems with them pushing them to play or making fun of them. It was straight up respect, and it was straight up business when you walked in the door.
Well, and I remember, I don't want you to talk for your brother, but if I remember right, your brother had some injury issues too during his time at TCU, didn't he?
Yeah, he tore some labrums and a bunch of stuff in his shoulder, and it was like his 8th game, and he played through the rest of the season. I mean, we won the Alamo Bowl with my brother starting at right guard. I mean, and he couldn't lift his arm past his shoulder. And my brother's out there, blocking I can't remember who the big number 44 from Oregon was, but he got drafted first round, and my brother's out there blocking one hand. So,
yeah, I think it was your brother's junior year. I was working the sideline, and I remembered I didn't have much of an opinion of your brother, not good or bad or anything else. It was just another player on the TCU team. Obviously, it was your brother, but there was a moment during one of the games, and I think it was against, I want to say it was against Kansas State or Kansas. I couldn't remember, one of those two. But he was on the sideline, and he was obviously hurt. He was having a problem, but he had rallied the entire offensive line around him. And I mean, he was just going at it with them and trying to explain what was going on, what they need to be done. And it was one of these kind of things where it was like, oh yeah, that's exactly what you want to see out of a guard, And he reminded me a lot of you, actually. And he had that competitor spirit. But I remember he had some injury issues as well. And it's interesting that we're talking about. Again, I don't want to make comparisons of what Listenby's issues had and with what you had, because obviously we don't know. But if there was any sort of systemic kind of behavior of this particular coaching staff or training staff to kind of pressure players to get back on the field, if there was any point in time in TCU history where that would have been more prevalent, I would have think it would have been during that 2010 season with your injury, given the fact that how important you were with guarding Andy Dalton in that particular season.
Right. Yeah. And never came up. It was never an issue. And it was, I'm hurt. And, the next guy steps up. No reason to put someone out there that, that's not 100% when we got a guy ready to roll. That's the way we did things. That's the way they still do things today. And
was there any time during that season that you were telling the staffs like, no, I'm good to go, I can do it, or were you feeling like I need more time?
Oh yeah, it was. I need more time, and I mean, I just knew. The blessing I got to have is the reason why I wanted to do rehab so much is I wanted to run on the field at the bowl game with my teammates, no matter what bowl game it was, and I got to do that, and it was because of my hard work for my rehab after my surgery.
Well, I mean, given the fact that your knee was not, you had like right. This. For those of you who are listening to us, he made like this little teepee with his hand. It would look like a 45-degree angle that your knee was in. Yeah. So, I mean, if your knee was that bad off, I applaud you for the amount of hard work you did just to get to that point.
Yeah, these are fans, man.
Hey, no one needs to know that stuff, because that's just. If you got hurt, you took care of your business behind the scenes while everybody was winning games. You got to get ready for the next season or for the next game you come back. That's just how TCU does things. That's how it did it in 2000s, how they did it in 1980. I mean, it's the way they roll.
Amen. Hey, Ryan, I see you snuck in. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. Thank you.
Where are you at? Is it St. Louis?
I did. I just got to see the St. Louis Arch, and it's cold out there. They had to de-ice the plane before we took off. That's why I was a little
All right, how cold is it? Because earlier we were having a little chat back and forth with Blaze, who's in Kansas, and apparently it's below 30 in Kansas, and I was complaining of 40-degree weather here in Texas. So what is it in St. Louis right now?
I think. Well, I took a picture of my phone that said the temperature, and it was 29. But I think the chill factor.
Blaze doesn't look impressed.
Hey, I left at 5 a.m. this morning, and it was 32 degrees here in Dallas, which is pretty crazy.
Well, hopefully you had a safe trip. So I want to welcome the boss, Ryan Zeller, to the podcast. So we're discussing the. Sorry, what was that, Ryan?
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, that wasn't for us. Anyway, so we're here talking with Blaze Fultz about the lawsuit that Colby Listenby has leveled against TCU. TCU is now countersued. So let's get back into this a little bit, guys. Shannon, when you were at TCU and you were during that time when we were transitioning out of well, we can just call it the wilderness, and we're kind of taking our rightful place where we are today. You guys taking the first step back to where we are. That was during a time where there was a lot of transition, a lot of chaos, a little bit between the administration and the athletic department. Mm-hmm. And so there was a lot of turnover that was going on. You had a different coaching staff that was coming in. How was it like when you were there? I mean, did it feel like it was consistent during that time period as far as the training staff and the coaching staff when you were talking about injuries?
Well, you're right. There was a lot going on, a lot of movement as we got going. A lot more attention on us. You had all the LT Heisman stuff, but a lot going on. And with all that, just thinking back on it, I have not one thought about the training staff. Like that's of treating us any kind of way. I mean, the bottom line is we knew what to do. The system was you know your injury, you go in, you get taken care of, then you have the plan, right? The head guy, which was Ross, he diagnosed you, whatever the case may be, then you would have somebody tending to you once you went in. You know exactly what you're gonna do. You're gonna come in, you're gonna get on ice and stem, you're gonna get in the ice. You're gonna get wrapped up. You're gonna go. They're gonna give you some things to do while you're in your dorm or in your apartment. You're gonna get your butt up. And you're gonna be back there in the morning before you go to class. Before you do anything, you're gonna get you some treatment in. You're gonna go to class. You're gonna come on your lunch break. You're gonna get you some more, and then you're gonna get you some more before you go out on the football field. Now, if you can't go and you're not practicing, you're gonna rehab the whole time that the guys are out there practicing, and you're gonna get into your film study and everything else. So they did, and that's what I remember. I remember, I didn't get hurt much, but I mean, being dinged up and nicked up and all that, it was the same routine for you to keep your body healthy throughout the week. And so as we went through, I mean, I think I had like 2-3 different defensive coordinators, 2 head coaches, a couple ADs. Like it was a lot going on the 4 years I was there. But one thing I do remember is they've always treated us good. I mean, that's never been the issue on how I was treated as an individual on and off the field, be it hurt or not, or the players there. Some guys took it a little too far. I mean, it was hard to see people hurt and they couldn't play for the season. That's always hard. But hey, we play football. Next man up. That's what recruiting's all about. The next man's up. Matter of fact, that's how I got my start. A guy got injured and got kicked out, so I came up. I became a 3-year starter after that, and he was a hell of a linebacker. It just something happened to him. I was the next man up. I got my opportunity. I made the most of it. But as far as, I fractured my throne. They took care of me. Had some things going on with my teeth where I hit a guy. My teeth fell out. They took great care of me. To where I didn't miss any football games. I never missed a game in the whole time. I never missed a game nor practice the whole time I attended TCU, and that's due to the training staff. Not because I didn't get hurt. I got nicked up a little bit, but they took care of me to where I was able to get back on the field. Not just me, but my teammates.
Yeah, Blaze, you kind of had a similar story here with Shannon because you took over for Josh Vernon, right, in 2009 for a couple of games after he got injured?
Right, yeah. Funny story. He's one of my best friends still to this day, and he'll get a laugh out of this. But, yeah, I was actually the one that fell on his ankle.
Interesting.
Now we know.
Time too, and it was a good time at home that night. I started for him after that. And it was the next guy step up, and that it was that BYU game where we came out and we dominated on that right side. I had guys. I had Jake Kirkpatrick next to me and Marcus Cannon next to me, and I mean I felt in a very good place because of my teammates around me. So I mean, and we did. We came out, and I mean, it's probably one of my favorite plays is the play where me and or Cannon and we double team that 3 technique all the way in the end zone on top of the 2 linebackers, and Tucker doesn't get touched till he hits the end zone about 10 yards away, and that's what we're supposed to do. Next guy steps up.
Yep.
Yeah, that BYU game was tremendous. That was one of my highlights during the Mountain West years. So that was a lot of fun. But you took over for an injured player, but then again, Josh came back. From what you saw from the rest of your teammates, does everyone kind of have the same kind of experience that you guys had?
Yeah, for me, as far as I know, everybody else had the same kind of experience. I mean, Cannon said it perfectly. Next guy steps up. And if you're hurt or something, you're rehabbing every day. And you're going to film setting, you're doing all this stuff from behind the scenes because everybody else is still getting ready. You've got to get ready just so you can get back as soon as you can. And if you didn't want to, then you can get the hell out of TCU because we didn't want you there. I mean, I mean, if you didn't care enough to work your ass off to get back, like, bye, you can leave.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
And honestly, we never had that problem on my teams when I was there. Like for the 4 or 5 years I was there, I never saw anything. I never saw anybody that didn't want to get back on the field as bad as they wanted to. Like it was the real deal. I mean,
well, if you can't count on them to do what they're supposed to do off the field, then you can't count on them to do what they need to do on the field. So
right, if they were hurt and they weren't coming to practice, and you saw them bouncing around out in the bars and stuff, they heard about it.
Yes, sir.
Well, and Wes, talk a little bit about this. During Listenby's time while he was at TCU, he was very much adamant about, even when he was injured, that he took to Twitter. He was very adamant on Twitter, or very prolific on Twitter, I should say. But there were several times where he was injured where he did come out and say, hey, I want to get back on the field. And I don't necessarily think that was part of his lawsuit about whether or not his desire to be on the field was ever questioned. But it was the pressure that seems to be the subject and the center of this particular lawsuit.
Yeah, I'm not a big Twitter guy, so I didn't follow a lot of what he was tweeting, but
I'm shocked you're not a big Twitter guy.
I read it.
Okay. Well, Ryan, maybe you're better qualified than I am, but basically, I mean, what I've taken from what Shannon and Blaze have said is it's just the pressure's from within, and if you're injured, you're doing yourself and your team a favor by staying off the field, and if you can't play, you can't play. But it doesn't sound like the pressure comes from the coaches or any of that. So I just, with that in mind, I don't buy into anything that he said. I'm not saying he's lying. Maybe he totally believes that this has happened, but man, I don't know. It just doesn't sound characteristic of what any of these two guys who played for Coach Patterson are telling us right now.
Hey, Ryan, I got a question for you because you have a unique perspective as a former cheerleader at TCU. Did you guys were you guys ever seen by the same training staff or doctors that the athletic department used?
Yes, we were. In fact, I tore my ACL one year, and I had to sit out that next year of cheering, and they rehabbed me back on, they rehabbed my knee. It was Ross Bailey at the time, and then Reed Wainwright and Jason Chilton, those three people. So I'd go in the weight room, the same weight room that the football players worked out in, and when no one was in there, and rehab my knee. And I also have a unique perspective in that I was a competitive gymnastics coach. I was a gymnast growing up, then I was a gymnastics coach for 10 years, and I coached under USA's first world champion, Kim Zemeskel. She has a gym in Coppell called Texas Dreams Gymnastics. So we had girls on the national team. We had girls trying out for the Olympics. And it's one of the toughest
that's
sports
cutthroat
out there.
Yeah.
It is. And I'll be the first to say that as a coach, I would tell the girls, all right, if it doesn't keep you up at night, then you need to train today. And unless the doctor tells me that you can't train, then you are training. And so I think it's naive for us to sit here and think that get out on the field and play when he's got doctors that are not releasing those athletes. He can't do it.
Well, apparently the Wi-Fi in St. Louis isn't as good as it is here in Texas. Are you still there, Ryan?
No, this whole concept of a cheerleading injury throws me here. So,
says, yeah.
Hey, Ryan, we got it. You kind of broke up there. So Wes has got a question for you.
Did I go
cheerleading injury. How did you tear your ACL?
Did you do a bad herky or something?
Man, when she gets back on, she's going to give you hell. Well, let's move on. Ryan, if you can still hear us, you're glitching a little bit. We'll come back to you in just a minute, so hold on to that thought. Blaze, let's come back to this for a moment. She's lost in the ether, guys. I apologize, but we'll pick up with Ryan here shortly.
We'll get her back. We'll get her back.
We will. Yeah, it's this podcast. I swear. It's like we're gonna have to figure out some other way to record it one of these days, other than doing Google Hangouts. But Blaze, let's come back to you here for a moment. So during your time at TCU, I think we've already established, the training staff and the coaching staff, from what I'm hearing, and you can of course correct me if I'm wrong, but seems like what your expectations were is that they treated you right. They weren't necessarily rushing you back. You never saw any of this, obviously. Again, every situation is different. I don't want to just immediately attach the fact that just because Blaze Foltz or Shannon Brazil, or from what we've heard from Scott Nix, that's like gospel and every single situation is exactly the same. But what was your reaction? What was your first reaction when you heard this particular story that Colby Listenby was suing TCU for this particular reason?
Honestly, for me, it was, I can't believe you would, I don't want to say,
do I need to have my finger on the dump button just in case? Is that what you're telling me?
My initial reaction is those people are family to me. Those people took care of me when I was at TCU. And when I got sick, not even when I got hurt, when I got sick or something, I went to them because I needed help. I needed to be out there for practice that day. And they were like, "Hey, we'll get you what you can, but if you can't go, we don't want you to be liable and pass out." So, if you're attacking people that were family to me, my strength coach was like a second father to me there, and you're attacking people that literally would have put their life on the line, as a parent would, to take care of you, and they do their job no matter what. And you're going after people that that I guarantee 100%, well, maybe a little less than 100%, would back any day of the week. Any player, any alumni would back those people in those positions, no matter what year it was, because those people had our back first and foremost, and we knew it. And I just couldn't. I could never imagine that someone would attack those people, or would go after them for money or whatever it is, because of something as simple as calling them soft or pressuring them to get back on the field, because that just didn't happen.
Let me ask you this: when you're injured in play, who makes the call as to whether you go back out there or not? Is it the coach, the trainer, or the doctor, or all three?
All three.
All three.
Yeah. They report to coach, the head doctor, and the head trainer, because obviously something like Listenby's situation, when you got some a real injury, now the real doctor on the sideline, Dr. Pointer, those guys, they'll come out. They're gonna take you in the locker room.
Now, he's a dentist. He's a dentist.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's who I dealt with when I. But
that's the only injury Shannon.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
Lost a couple teeth.
That's the only thing I had. I lost a couple teeth.
He doesn't know about pelvis.
Shannon's got dentures now.
But they're gonna come back to the head coach and let them know what's going on with you, and that's just gonna be it. Now, he's gonna say, "Can he go?" No. Okay, there it is. That's it. And a lot of times, you guys will see it on the sideline. You can read the lips. You see it every week. Can he go? No, and that's that. But the bottom line, and I agree with my man, it's I heard about it on the news. I'm working. I work from the house, and I watch the news the other day, and it hits the news, and I'm like, what? I look up because now I got my attention. I pause everything. I rewind the TV, and I'm like, what's going on? And so for me, it's like, wow, it's like someone in the family is attacking family. And first thing I think about, our rule is what goes on in the locker room stays in the locker room. So I just felt like instantly, without knowing anything, did he go and visit with these guys behind closed doors? Did they see it coming? Did he try to make it right internally without doing the whole media thing? I guarantee you no, because now you got media involved. You got people in your ear trying to come after money. Again, I don't want to speculate too much, but I see that's my reaction. It's like you're attacking your family. And there's some people that I know that you guys know, I won't even name them, but they're not welcome on the yard. There's only one or two. We can go back to, I'll just put it like this. You go back to the bowl game at A&M, the Houston Bowl. Well, that guy's not allowed on the yard. Nobody wants to ever see him again and he created that for himself. So I'm just like, man, why would you? I hope this $1 million you spend it well if you get it, because it's like you just tarnished everything you did for our family and on the yard. Like there's the respect level. My uncle, one of the guys I look up to in my family, he's a pastor. He said, Shannon, once you lose my respect, it's hard to get it back. He said, but when you have it, and we're good. And I said, so to me, it's like, bro, you done lost all credibility, all respect on your of how you handle the situation. You may have a case, but the way you handle the situation, not good for you, brother.
Well, Shannon, Blaze, let me address both of you guys. Let me ask this question. Obviously, there's been a lot of publicity among the NFL, the CTE study, the situation that they're handling as far as brain trauma and injuries like that. As both former players in both the collegiate league and of course, when we're talking about, Blaze, you're working for an arena football league now up in Kansas. Are there? I hate to use the term ambulance chaser, but are there individuals that represent firms that are specifically targeting ex-football players that are asking them to come out and say, maybe, hey, I had an injury and it was bad and I was treated wrongly and I'm due some compensation?
The good in me wants to think that there isn't people like that, but this world's a crazy world right now. And, I hope that that's not what happened to Colby and his family, because that would be a shame. And as far as I know, it is not like that. And I know that if the staff would have been aware of that at TCU, they would have tried to settle these things and talk to Colby about it. But it seems like it wasn't that in his plans, and it was about the money. So it's been about that thing. And if that's what he wants to do, you're tarnishing, the relationship that you have. And I mean, if people that want to back him and people that want to, have his back, like, take notice, because we see you're on the yard again. Like, don't come up and talk to me, because you ain't gonna want to talk to me.
Yeah.
Hey, can y'all hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So my biggest concern about this whole thing, and this frustrates me to no end, I'm very passionate about this subject, is that if Listenby gets away with this, like, I believe these are mostly false allocations. Do I think that something could have come out of Patterson's mouth that's negative or could have hurt his feelings? Absolutely. That's what coaches do to motivate their athletes. And if we are a society now where coaches have to be careful of the words they choose when they're trying to motivate their team in a very, very, very dangerous sport, I don't know what type of precedent that's going to set. And will even college athletics or amateur athletics even be around?
Well, it's a bad
coaches
precedent.
Aren't allowed to coach.
We're already in a world and a society where people are waiting to be offended. Now, if an athlete's waiting around to make, accuse a coach of playing him when he's injured or whatever, it just exacerbates the problem.
That's a coach's job, to sit there and know his athletes and know how to push buttons, to push them to the very, very limit. And it's also the coach's job to know when to stop and pull back. And so it's good if Gary's pushing him, because he can tell when he knows his threshold. You have to learn that about all your athletes. So I hope Listenby doesn't get $1 from them, because if he wins part of this, it's just going to be a domino effect, and these kids are going to come after all their coaches.
Well, Shannon Patterson was your coach. I mean, Blaze obviously as an offensive player, I'm sure you heard from Patterson from time to time, but Shannon, you had direct relationships with Patterson on a weekly basis. Does he strike you as the kind of guy that would come at you personally if you were sitting down for an injury?
No, I mean, again,
would he even get to that level? I mean, would it be surprising if it even got to that level?
No, I've heard a lot come out of Coach Patterson's mouth. Okay, I mean, listen, I've heard a lot come out of his mouth.
Right?
Books can be written.
Right, it's just like I said before in one of the other shows. If Coach Patterson wasn't talking to you or yelling at you, you probably weren't on his list to help his team win, his defense win. You wanted to be yelled at. You wanted that whatever it was, you wanted it, because he's trying to pour. We've already said he's a genius. He's trying to pour something in you to help us all get to what we're trying to do, and that's to win the conference championship at the time, and that's what it was. So if, you know, even if it was what's wrong with you, get to the trainer, or, you know, whatever the case may be. If you're hurt, you're hurt. Let's go. If you're injured, you can't go. You can't go. Those are coaching words, you know. Now, however you interpret him getting in your butt about it, you knew where his heart was. You know, it wasn't about you're a wussy, you're a sissy, you can't play for me because your fingers broke. You know, it was never like that. I've never seen that. I've seen a whole lot of stuff. I've seen him talk to people crazy for missing plays. I've seen him, you know, get on your butt for missing class and everything that comes with that. But this is serious. This is a person. This is a body. This is a breathing human. And we're talking about his life here, right? And so for him to be, you've got to have seen it. He's not that guy. Like, you know what I mean? Even if you don't know him, Wes, you know, you see enough because you're around, you're a frog, to know enough to know that that's not him. And so for me, it's just like when I heard it again, it was shocking to me. It's not like, and I'll throw Baylor in here. It's not like it was Baylor where it's one assault after the other, another where you get to the point where it doesn't shock you anymore. It's okay, well, you know, it's Baylor. Well, this shocked me. This was like, wait, hold on, what's going on? To where I was catching the 6 o'clock news, 8 o'clock news. I was following Nui. I started looking into the situation, like, what's really going on here? You know, and it's shocking to me. So, you know, that's not Gary. He's a lot of things, but that person, that ain't him.
Hey, Blaze, to that point, I've heard from a lot of TCU players over the years, and they've kind of basically, to a word, kind of paraphrase what Shannon was saying, that the worst behavior out of Coach Patterson that a player wants to see is when he gives you the cold shoulder and doesn't want to speak to you at all. Like, if he's chewing you out, you kind of want that. But if he's completely ignoring you, now you know he's done with you. Is that accurate?
Yeah, if he's not up in your face after you make a good play against his D lineman, there's something wrong. I'll tell you right now. If he wasn't yelling at you, if he wasn't talking to you, then you weren't playing.
Right.
You weren't going to help his team at the moment because you weren't doing your job. You weren't making sure your assignment was right. It was never about if you were hurt or if you were going to do your job on the field to help this team win. And that's the bottom line. That's what we cared about. It doesn't matter who we're playing. It's about the next game. It's about the next play. And it's if you're going to do your job every play in that game. And that's all that matters. If he didn't talk to you, probably weren't on the field.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things I wanted to point out, because every single time I've talked to a TCU player, they've all kind of echoed the same sentiment. It wasn't that he's going to call you a sissy or he's going to call you out and those kind of things. So that was the weirdest aspect of this whole allegation for me, because to me it was like, that's not the Patterson that I've heard about. If he was going to go that direction, he wasn't going to say anything at all to you. He was just going to make you just feel like you weren't even in the room.
Yeah, you didn't
exist. Exactly. Yeah. So that was the one thing that to me just kind of like stuck out as kind of being out of place. I'm sorry, Ryan, what were you going to say?
Oh, I kind of forgot, but I thought of something else. I don't think he said I think it's all being very exaggerated. But again, I go back to what is wrong with some of the things that he said or even did. You know, I don't know if y'all went through the whole on the airplane. He got upset because Gary allegedly walked by and said, first class is for starters, and Colby wasn't a starter. I think he was actually injured or something. I don't know all the details. I'm like, what is wrong with that? Like, I mean, it's just.
Is that like the what was that, the Baldwin movie where he's like coffees for closers, right?
Yes, exactly.
First class is for starters.
The stuff that is coming out, like I read that whole thing that was on KillerFrogs, the thread, and one of the posters put everything up there, and I thought, is this a joke? Like, who would actually take any of this seriously? It's not like. I like all the other stuff going on in the news with the gymnasts and all that. I'm like, that's real stuff. This right here is like powder puff. Like, I don't even, I'm like, you're a guy. You were coached in, well, no, he didn't even play football.
I'm glad it's you who said that.
I know. I was a coach and I just don't get it. I'm like, tape it up and get out there on the field. You know, like, I don't get it. I don't get it one bit. Now, y'all, was he a football player in high school, or he was just track, and then he came to TCU and played football, or what's? No, he was a quarterback in high school, wasn't he?
As far as I know, he was a quarterback, and he was really fast, as far as I know.
Okay, so yeah. I mean, whatever. He's just pissed off because he didn't get to be the quarterback, and then his NFL career didn't make it. And now he's just playing the blame game.
I don't want to assign. I don't know. I feel bad about assigning,
well,
motive to somebody. We don't know. We don't know what's in his heart. But
check this out. I've been around and Blaze can understand this. Sometimes when you get sometimes I've been around where coaches make comments. Do they mean it? Say he said it. Well,
yeah,
he might have been playing. It might have been a joking way. Whatever the case may be. Was he serious? Like when Patterson's serious. First of all, was he serious? I mean, was he not? I mean, one of the stories I remember. Back in my day, there was a couple guys that were brothers, and they were mixed, black and white, And when my Coach Parks, he made, we always get together. Sometimes, you got your groups in the locker room, your cliques. We're a team, don't get it wrong, but you still have your cliques, right? And sometimes it'd be the brothers over here, my Caucasian brothers over here, whatever. And my coach simply said to them, which side you gonna choose today? That's all he said, right? We giggled, we chuckled, it was nothing. Next thing we know, we got the NCAA and all these people coming down, claiming my coach is racist. I still talk to my Coach Parks to this day. And we like this was like we couldn't believe it. Like, you gotta be kidding me, right? The dude, we saw him joke. We knew he was joking, but because for playing time, whatever you want to say, whatever the reason, it boiled down to playing time. I'm just gonna say it. I'll keep it real with you. Well, you got guys playing in front of you, and so what you're trying to do now is break down the camaraderie and break down the team for your own selfish reasons. We knew he was joking. I thought that was just that was just crazy. First of all, I would never play for a racist coach. You know what I mean? Like, that don't even exist in our locker room. And to hear something like that was crazy. So yeah, coaches can say some things. It's just how you interpret it and take it in. And now we have a problem, but it is what it is.
So do we think this is more endemic of just the way society's been going, as far as some of these younger guys just kind of taking offense to everything? Or is this kind of like what I was saying earlier? Is this just somebody kind of a little being his bonnet, a little somebody whispering in his ear saying, hey, maybe there's something here that you need to address, and kind of going after some of these players in the more vulnerable states?
I'm going to the latter.
Okay.
I think it's society and a combination of both. Cause I don't know.
Blaze, how about you? What do you think?
Well, I think he's a snowflake that's trying to get after our money. So, I mean, I think it's weak. I think as a man, I think it's below what you should be doing and representing as a human. If you can't take a few, I mean, even if this went on, even if he said what he said, like, these are not serious things that he said. 100%. If it did happen, which I don't think it did, move on. Like, that shouldn't bother you. And you got drafted too, and I don't understand any of it. But it's a snowflake thing, and a combination that he is going after money because he wants more of it.
Well,
Blaze votes for snowflakes. Shannon, how about you?
I second it.
I hear the question. There's a lot of cutting out. I will say this, but it's easy to talk people into money acts these days. I mean, whoever's talking them into it, I'm sure they're going to charge him 10%. That's 100,000 of them. So it's easy they're not a frog. It's easy for them to say, hey, you got a case. Let's go down this road. But it's all, it's some bad character traits. I'm not saying people shouldn't sue and take care of their beliefs and all that kind of thing. But if you have probably 90% of the people saying, hey, this is bull crap, then you didn't do your homework, in my personal opinion. So listen, I'm like this, man. When you start coming after my family, and I expect that from the outsiders. And again, I'm not knocking him or whatever, but I just hope he has something there, because once you come after my family, I have it's like my brother, man. It's like, locker room, we hear something's going on, we're gonna go address it. And the coach, even when it was out the field, he would say, hey guys, leave that alone, but gave us a wink. We knew what that meant. That's our brother. We protect our brother on and off the field, and that's what I will hold. That's what I go by to this day. I'm a frog for life. I bleed purple. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've covered every angle of this particular issue. However, Ryan, there is one question that Wes had for you that we never quite got an answer for, and that was your ACL injury. How did you get your ACL injury?
Actually, this is why coaches never allow their athletes to go on spring break or summer vacations. It's because you get injured. So, of course, I went on spring break and was snow skiing, and the last run of the last day on a green slope, and we were spraying snow up on each other. I've been skiing since I was 3 years old, and I ripped my knee up.
So that's a cheerleading injury. That's yeah. I thought you'd done a bad herky jump or something like that.
Let's not talk cheerleaders, man. They're way more athletic than any of us. I'll tell you that.
Well, that's for sure.
No.
There's that offensive lineman little bit of modesty that we remember.
Actually, TCU had a male cheerleader that had played football. He didn't quite make it as a football player, but he went over to cheerleading. And I remember seeing him on the field. Brian, did you remember who I was talking about?
I do. I don't remember. He was a little bit older than I, but I do remember this story. He was like, I still want to be on the field, and I might as well be holding girls up.
Well, oh my God, the guy looked like he lived at a gym. I mean, he was. Yeah. And I think he was a linebacker or a lineman. He was pretty short, but really stocky. But you know, obviously, had lifted a few weights in his life. And when it came to holding y'all up, there was never a problem with that. He could. I was always impressed with him.
I tell you what, that's not a bad lateral.
That's crazy you say that. I was just talking. Somebody brought that guy up to me the other day. I think he's a very successful entrepreneur. Forget what he does, but I was just in a memorabilia shop the other day, and the guy asked me, "Did I know this guy? He used to be a cheerleader. He was short. He showed me a picture. He was older, and he told me this guy, man, he buys memorabilia left and right. He's very successful, owns a lot of businesses and stuff." I said, interesting. I didn't know him, but interesting.
Sean, there was a guy. I think he was before us, because I think I was in high school coming to the games and saw him. But he played in the band and on the football team, and he didn't have time to switch uniforms, so he would wear his jersey marching in the band out on the field. Do you remember that?
No, I don't. But given the fact that would have been early 90s, it doesn't surprise me that was the time period where that would have been allowed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So no, it doesn't surprise me at all. But that if that doesn't tell you how far TCU has come since the early 90s, nothing will. You know, that's
Coach P might have gave him an option on that deal.
You know what? Yeah.
Oh, good.
I can imagine Blaze, running out and playing the piccolo at halftime.
Yep. Hey, real quick, as far as recruiting, I know when's tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow is the big night. Yeah, has there been any fallout because?
Yeah, Wes, actually, you've got some news on that front, don't you?
Yeah, we did get a commitment today. And this guy sounded like a Shannon Braswell clone. Jacoby Simpson, 6 feet, 225, from Houston MacArthur. He's ranked. He's a 3-star, ranked 28th in his position in the state, the 87th overall player in the state, and then 624 nationally. Patterson knows his defensive players, and I'm sure he thought if this guy can't contribute pretty quick, and I'm not going to offer him. So and it was down between us and K-State for him. We've also got a couple of guys that are sitting on the fence. Aaron Brule out of Metro, Louisiana. He's a linebacker. Another one down between us, Mississippi State and Arkansas. And then
who's the guy who's down between us and A&M?
Oh, God, there's a couple of them. Let's see here. Vernon Jackson.
Last visit. I can't remember. Maybe that was him.
Vernon Jackson, yeah. We definitely want him, but it's down between us and A&M. And I think Hunter was telling me he kind of likes Jimbo Fisher, but
yeah, that's the guy I'm thinking.
We'll see if we get him or not. And then that transfer tackle from Rice, everybody was talking about. It basically it's down between Texas, Michigan, another school, and then us. So we're kind of the number 3 or number 4, depending on who you're comparing against. But we may or may not get him. I don't know. But he's he's one and done. He'll play 1 year and then he'll have to be out of there. But it would be nice if we could get him because we could always use an extra offensive lineman, right, Blaze? And then a couple of defensive tackles. Moro Ojomo, I think we're in the top 5, and Creandre Coburn, another tackle. We're in consideration. Whether or not we land him or not, another question. But we're hanging in there, hoping to wrap up this recruiting thing on Wednesday with a couple of good signings. But it's been a great class up to this point, and no reason to think it won't finish out as a great class.
Yeah, this is probably one of the best classes TCU has seen, maybe in its history. So it'd be nice if we can get a couple of those extra players to sign on there at the very end. But overall, you can't be upset with what the coaches were able to pull in this time.
Oh, absolutely not. And the whole dynamic with this early signing period has changed. And I think we're learning, and other schools learning, you gotta get your class and close on them and get them to sign early, because some of these fence sitters that we thought we could have had or were in the lead for back in December, now they're kind of shifting to other schools. So, I think the dynamic here is to sign them early, if at all possible, and get them in school, or at least get their name on the dotted line. Because, we had that, the Eddie Smith, that cornerback, the big cornerback that Patterson really has been lusted for a couple of years. Well, he was committed to us early, and then back.
Wait, hold on. Did you just say lusted for?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that.
Okay, I want to make sure it wasn't my connection. Thank you.
Patterson can lust.
Careful, Wes. You're going to get another lawsuit.
All right.
Hey, you can send your comments to wes@killerfrogs.com.
That's right. No, Patterson, let's say he wanted him very badly. But it's now between us and Alabama, and which is, we're in good company with it, but still, this is a guy we want and need, because he's you know how it is in the Big 12 and college football in general. Receivers are getting taller and faster, and you need cornerbacks that can stay with them on the speed end, but also in height and jump with them. And so, and at 6'2", that's a tall cornerback. So I know we want him, and that matches up better against some of these tall receivers.
Well, hopefully the signing date is going to come and go, and we get some good surprises, and this close out the signing class with some couple of good gems. I think but even if they don't come, again, I mean, for those that have already committed, I mean, this is a fantastic recruiting class for next year.
Oh God, yeah, we're ranked like 21 or 20 or 21. Recruiting class, so that's not too bad. That's the best we've done.
Third in the Big 12. Yeah, third in the Big 12, so that's pretty good.
Yeah. And Texas is always going to win the recruiting battle. I mean, they do every year and then lose it on the football
we beat them
field.
on the field anyway.
Yeah, they're every February they win the national championship. Every December they lose, so it's just, that's Texas. So
yep.
I think that's the best way to end the podcast. That's Texas.
That's Texas.
There you go.
There you go.
Take that, Chris Del Conte.
Well, there you go. I sense a meme in the upcoming season.
Oh, I like him. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
He's a businessman.
It would be hard to turn down $1.3 million. Hell, if they said we'll pay you $1.3 million, I'd wear burnt orange.
You know what, though? It wasn't the money. I can tell you that it was the challenge, and we all know that UT.
It's a challenge.
Well, I'm not gonna say it wasn't the money. We'll just say it was a little money and the challenge, because he's a money guy.
Yeah, because I'm gonna have to disagree with Wes. You can offer me $1.3 million. That ain't enough for me to wear burnt orange.
Oh, come on!
No.
If somebody said, "Here's $1.3 million."
Not when I could go back to TCU and go, how much can you give me a raise to continue wearing purple?
Yeah,
they won't, because they know you're going to buy it.
I mean, I would take half that amount to stay at TCU and wear purple. I mean,
you might have to edit this out, but I'll put that burnt orange underwear on. But I might leave a signature in it, if you know what I mean.
Oh my God.
Well, we all know Wes's number now.
My man.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, with that bombshell, I think
I'm sorry, Ryan. I'm sorry. We're going down in the gutter here. I am. So.
Part of the show.
I thought we landed when you said lusted after. I think that was the.
It's what keeps people coming back for more.
I need another bourbon. Give me a.
There you go. Blaze, did you know what you were signing on for when you came on tonight?
Oh, I know Wes. I know.
Well, Blaze, I want to thank you for coming on tonight. Man, we really appreciate you coming in and giving us just a little bit of insight and obviously your experience while you were a TCU player. So thank you very much for that.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys having me. And
you bet, Blaze. You're great.
Good stuff, Blaze.
Yeah, come back anytime.
Yeah,
Real quick,
yes, sir.
Sean, if you can manage to get this still out on Tuesday, then we've got a big old basketball game Wednesday night.
Oh yeah, no, this will definitely come out. I'm going to stay up all night and edit this.
We appreciate that.
Because I just slave over this edit.
We got
It's not just a matter of me just downloading it, just slapping it together and putting it up on the website.
You got to earn your $1.3 million.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So everybody, if you're listening, come out to the basketball game. The guys are playing OSU. Big game.
Big game.
Yeah, man, the Big 12 is starting to become other than, Tech and Oklahoma, it's a bit of a logjam right now. So, I mean, anything can happen. This is a great league to play basketball in. And these guys are competitive every night. So,
yeah, and TCU basketball is so good, but we're playing the Big 12. I mean, it's every night we're battling just to come out with a win. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of like that football game that happened last night, right?
Right.
we better not forget about the women. Come on out Wednesday night and support the women. We will be bringing a bunch of kids and family members out on Wednesday night. Support the girls. I believe we play OSU, if I'm not mistaken. So if you're listening, come on out, support. We're going to have some fun. All
right, Shannon.
Thank you, Shannon. Actually, you're right. It's women playing OSU, and we're doing our whole event that night. Tomorrow. I keep thinking it's Tuesday. It's been a very long day for me. When you get up leave the house at 5 a.m., it's like 2 days in one. But yeah, so come out Wednesday night and support the girls.
See, I had your back. You didn't have to say that. I had you. Now everybody knows. You should let it ride.
And Ryan, you took a bus down to Texas this weekend.
I did. That was super fun. We rode the bus down, and Wes, we've got a video of Wes hanging off the bridge, giving the Go Frogs sign. It's awesome.
Nice.
I called her and I said, "Hey, I thought they were leaving at 11." I called her about 9:30. She said, "I said, hey, I'll hang the Killer Frogs banner over a bridge and wave everybody." She said, "I said, where are you?" She said, "Oh, we just passed Buc-ee's and Temple." I said, "Oh God, I'll never make it." So I drove over there. I stood on this bridge. There's no place to stand. I got 18 wheelers going by me. There's no railing there. I mean, if one had gotten too close, I would have fallen over. And one driver stopped and rolled down his window and said, "You okay?" I said, Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just, I'm waiting to wave at a bus, Okay.
And he just went on as though that was normal.
Yeah, exactly. It was fun, though. I mean, it was a terrible game, but at least we split. I mean, we beat Texas earlier in the season, so we did not play our best that day. But Texas is a heck of a team. I mean, I think they're number 7 or 8 in the nation, so no embarrassment there at all.
Did you see Christel Conti?
I didn't. I did not even think about it while I was there. How funny is that? No, I didn't see him. But it was game day there for the men's basketball and women's because they were both.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
He was around somewhere, but everybody's really nice. It was fun. I'll go again next year. I just hope it's not when we're playing Tech. The boys had their big game that same day, so that was kind of tough to miss that, but that's all right.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Well, and with that, I think we've come to the end of the podcast. Unless I'm missing anything. Am I forgetting anything, Ryan? We good?
Baseball, February 20th.
I knew I was forgetting something.
Yeah, baseball.
Are we all ready for a 5th trip to Omaha?
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Knock on wood, people. Knock on wood.
Oh, yeah. I got a lot of wood around here. I'm going to knock on a lot of it.
Here we go.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, this pitching staff, I was talking to an ex-TCU baseball player who actually coaches my son's basketball team. And we were talking about the pitching staff, and man, he is jazzed about this team. So I'm, even the fact that we're replacing almost the entire infield, I think this is going to be a good year. I think it's going to be if you haven't ever made it out to Lupton, go out there, experience Lupton Magic. and enjoy yourself because it's going to be a heck of a season. So.
Well, if you think about it, we have, 4 ranked teams in the top 25 in the state of Texas.
Wow.
TCU, Tech, A&M, and I believe, hey, darling. And then
hey, Shannon, you got yourself a little guest here.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hey, introduce us. Who is this?
Say hello. This is Case. This is my baby.
Hey,
Case.
Case.
Say hello. Wave. They see you. So it's bedtime.
I'm glad you got your mother's looks.
Yeah. Listen, man, that's TCU product. Come on now.
Go Frog.
I know what I was doing.
Very nice. Oh, okay. Well, on that note, let's go ahead and end the podcast. I want to thank everybody who's listening to us out there. We are available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher, pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts. You can find us also on social media. We are on Twitter and Instagram at @killer_frogs. You got to remember the underscore there. So at @killer_frogs. You also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/killerfrogs. And you can also go on to killerfrogs.com and join us for free and discuss TCU athletics with the rest of us knuckleheads. And with that, we've come to the end of the podcast, which means it's all time for us to say,
go Frogs.
Go
You too,
Frogs.
Case. Come on, Case.
Go
Give us
Frogs.
Come on, Case.
Yeah.
Come on, Case.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, there
He's
you
got
go.
the frog sign
There
down.
you go.
Look at that.
She's
Dad's
trained.
doing it right. Way to go,
Hey,
Shannon.
y'all have a good night.
You too,
Y'all have a
Shannon.
good
Bye,
one.
everybody.
All right.
Blaze, thanks again, man.
Thank you, Blaze.
Play.
All right. God bless. Bye-bye.
Thank you.